Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called The Blood Debt of Zach Gabriel. So you see, Zach Gabriel knew he was being set up before the knife ever touched him. It was in the way the room smelled wrong, too clean for a slaughterhouse, too quiet for a deal worth millions. The abandoned meat packing plant on the river had always stunk of rust and rot, but that night the air carried bleach and cold iron. Preparation. Across the steel table sat Daryl. Zach had called him brother for 15 years. They'd grown up stealing together, killing together, building their empire brick by bloody brick. Daryl wouldn't meet his eyes. That was when Zach knew. "You're late," Zach said, resting his hand near his coat. "That's not like you." Daryl forced a smile. Traffic. The lights flickered. Then the doors slammed shut. Men emerged from the shadows, 6 of them, all armed. Zach reached for his gun, but Daryl moved first. A sharp crack rang out, and pain exploded through Zach's wrist as the gun flew from his hand. He stared at Daryl in disbelief. "You sold me," Zach whispered. Daryl's voice shook. "You were getting sloppy. Drawing heat. I had to choose." The beating came fast and savage. Fists. Boots. The sound of bone snapping like dry twigs. Zach tasted blood and oil and rust. He screamed Daryl's name until his throat tore raw. They dragged him to the hooks. The men laughed as they lifted him, metal tearing through muscle, suspending him like meat. Blood poured down his arms, pooling on the floor. Daryl stepped closer. "I'm sorry," he said, and meant it just enough to make it worse. Then he nodded. The knife slid into Zach's stomach and moved slowly, carving upward. Zach watched his own insides spill out, steaming in the cold air. He screamed until his voice became a wet gargle. Daryl leaned close. "You should have trusted me." The last thing Zach Gabriel saw as his heart failed was Daryl turning away. Death should have been the end. It wasn't. Darkness swallowed Zach, but not the peaceful kind. This darkness pressed, squeezed, watched. He felt himself sinking into something thick and warm, like blood-soaked soil. Then came the voice. Such rage, it purred. Such unfinished hatred. Red light bloomed in the dark. Eyes opened. A man stood before him, tall, pale, dressed in black so deep it swallowed light. His smile revealed fangs long and ancient, stained with centuries of murder. "I am Count Jace Derrick," the vampire said. "And you were wronged." Zach tried to speak. Blood poured from his mouth. The Count knelt. "I witnessed your death. Betrayal is familiar to me." Cold fingers pressed to Zach's chest. "I can return you," the Count whispered. "But you will never be human again." Zach didn't hesitate. "Yes." The Count bit him. Pain unlike anything before tore through Zach's body. His veins burned. His bones twisted and cracked, reshaping. His heart restarted with a wet, violent thud. Zach screamed, and woke up screaming. They buried him in a shallow grave near the river. 3 nights later, the ground moved. A hand burst through the dirt, skin gray and splitting. Zach clawed his way free, lungs filling with air that felt like knives. His body was wrong, stronger, colder, hungrier. And angry. So very angry. He could smell Daryl's city from miles away. The first man to die was one of Daryl's guards. Zach caught him in an alley, lifted him off the ground with one hand, and ripped his throat open with his teeth. Blood sprayed the walls like paint. Zach drank until the body went limp, then crushed the man's skull against the bricks until it was nothing but pulp. He smiled. The second man begged. Zach tore out his spine and left it hanging from a lamppost. Word spread fast. Bodies appeared drained, mutilated, twisted into impossible shapes. People whispered about a demon, a revenant, a walking corpse. Daryl knew. He barricaded himself in his penthouse, surrounded by guns and men who shook with fear. Zach came through the ceiling. Glass and concrete exploded as he dropped into the room. Gunfire shredded the air, bullets tearing into his flesh, only to fall out moments later as the wounds sealed. Zach moved like a nightmare. He ripped arms from sockets. He tore jaws open until heads split. Blood coated the walls, the floor, the ceiling. Men screamed as Zach fed, tearing chunks from their bodies, drinking until his mouth ran red. Daryl crawled backward, sobbing. Zach, please, I didn't want this. Zach loomed over him, eyes glowing crimson. You wanted my death. He grabbed Daryl's face and crushed his eyes, forcing thumbs into sockets until they burst. Daryl screamed until Zach tore out his tongue. Slowly, so slowly, Zach broke every bone in Daryl's body, keeping him alive the entire time. When Daryl finally died, Zach whispered, "We're even." But Zach wasn't done. Anyone who helped, anyone who knew, anyone who stood by. The city learned to fear the dark. And somewhere in the shadows, Count Jace Derek watched, smiling. Because revenge never ends. And neither does Zach Gabriel.